Hello my friends, got a new project here. So this is a actually quite beautiful pair of Mezlan shoes, made in Spain. Really cool pair. Love the looks of these, love the mixed suede, but notice this one a little bit lighter compared to this one. So the client washed the shoe or tried to use some sort of conditioning cream or maybe saddle soap, something that stripped some of the color off and really lightened it. And so, I thought maybe I would just try to darken this one to match. My fear is that I won't get it exactly matched. So I really think the best strategy here is to strip both of them and completely refinish them both. Also, I noticed here, just in these the little creases, some of the color is lightened, very similar to this one. So I have a feeling if I did this one, this finish is going to deteriorate later on. So I really think the best move is to just strip them both and completely refinish. So that's what I'm going to do. So acetone, that's what I always use, works great. So we're just going to go in circular motions, and you'll see that it's going to usually pull the finish off pretty quickly, pretty well. Now, when I do patinas by hand, I have found that you can strip some of that color off, but it does not strip off as easily as the factory finish, and it doesn't lighten quite as much as the factory finish. So I think when you're doing patinas by hand, you're probably getting more dye saturating into the leather. I've not been to a manufacturing plant. I don't know exactly what goes on in there when they're applying color, but I think most of the time it's probably a quicker application of the dye compared to what I would be doing. And I'm not going to film this entire process of stripping the shoes. Basically, I'm going to do this until this is pretty saturated now. That's not really going to take off as much color. It's going to be leaving a little bit of color on the shoe. Usually rotate the cotton ball. This one's going to get pretty saturated soon too. It's getting there. I'm going to show you just a little bit different technique for adding the dye this time. So I'm using actually a little cotton ball dipped in some dark brown to apply the dye this time, just to show you a little something different instead of using the brush. And I am purposely not getting a perfectly even and symmetrical coat across the entire shoe. So that was really one of the things that I liked about the original finish, is that it had some color variation throughout. So I really wanted to try to preserve that. So that's why I'm kind of doing these quick circular motions like this, trying to create and preserve a little bit of color variation across the shoe. Don't want it too uniform. I use the brush for a little finer detail work, getting that toe a little bit darker, keeping it dark along the seams the way it was there. Use a little bit of Renovateur by Sophia. And I'm just going to wipe off some of the dry dye. So got a little rag here, and I'm literally just going to do a little bit of a finger dab here in this Renovateur. And again, this is rehydrating the leather. It's also removing any dye that didn't penetrate into the leather, so any dye that's still on the surface. I think this is not going to be quite as dark as I actually want it to be. So I'm probably going to do the same thing, kind of going over this whole thing with black right along this edge as well. Alright, so I went over both of them with black along the edges here, and I went the same thing along the base of the shoe, and I did a little bit of black on the toe. This one was a little bit lighter. I did the dark brown, just did little dabs like this real lightly with the dye with the dark brown. So feeling like this is a lot more even. So now I am going to go over both shoes with a little bit of dark brown, Saphir cream. Again, just a little dab on here. So really I had the base color done. I was really liking the way the look of the finish, but when I used the conditioning lotion on it, some of the finish was coming off, so it was just not durable. And so this happens sometimes, it's pretty rare, but it has happened before. And so what I ended up doing is stripping the whole shoe back down again. I just recolored it. I used a different brand of dye. So this time I used Saphir dark brown, and just finished it up last night, and now I'm going to use some Bic 4 conditioning lotion. So this is a conditioner I haven't tried before, but it seems to preserve color maybe a little bit better. It's a little bit more gentle. It's kind of famous for not darkening shoes when used, so I thought this would be a good one to give this a try on. So far, this looks like it is doing better here. So is it because of the different dye? Maybe. Is it because I stripped it better a second time? Probably mostly from that, honestly. But, you know, it could be a combination of things. It could be that that brand of dye just wasn't penetrating the leather as well. This is already looking better, though. Much more stable. The other one I could tell already at this point that it was starting to come off. So I'm going to rehydrate both with this Bic 4, and I'll give them a little brushing. We'll see how we're looking. I've found the dye to be much more stable the second time, and the Bic 4 to be a little more gentle and did not pull off the dye as much. So here I've started already beginning to shine with Saphir Mirror Gloss, and even that can take the finish off sometimes, but on this one again much more stable, and they were shining up perfectly. After I've made some good progress on one like this, definitely getting pretty shiny there. Actually works out better just to let it sit for a little bit, let the waxes harden, and then you can kind of get the final steps of a mirror shine on it. So really, for now, that one probably can sit off to the side. We'll get started on the other one. Again, it's likely to pull off just a little bit of color, and that's okay. Just finishing up the mirror shine on this pair, but they are cleaned up quite nice.